Welcome back. In the third and last section, Michael and I are going to discuss about photographs or images in like advertisements, or now we can see how popular or how many images we'll be able to get to in one day through the internet or other media as well.
Yeah, in fact, I would like to start with, as a foreigner living in Taiwan, I have a question about why certain images always show people in very light colors, or there's always a very white background. And it can be either in television commercials or just in magazine photos too. When I look at those, I think it looks so fake to me, right? But I don't understand what the logic is behind it, unless it's trying to show that these people are pure, or that the product that they're promoting is good for you. Do you have any idea about that?
I think, Michael, that's a really interesting observation, because as the reading says, right, people try to transfer ideas or cultures to images, like photographs as well. Mm-hmm. So the standard of beauty are really different between the Western standard of beauty and Eastern standard of beauty. So most East countries like Japan, Korea, and Taiwan, and China, well, most people prefer to have a really light or even pale skin, so they consider that tone as beauty. Mm-hmm. But I was talking to my student the other day. Okay, if there is a tanning store opening here, do you think there will be any business for the tanning shop? So the students are, why? Why there's a need for tanning? Mm-hmm. There's sunshine everywhere in Taiwan. There's no need for tanning thing.
But the problem is there's not really a beach that's easily accessible.
Yes.
To go to lie down in the sun, put your blanket down. In our culture, that's pretty important. Even though there's the fear of skin cancer, people still think that if they have tan skin, they promote that image of themselves as being healthy. Although we now know that skin cancer you can get very easily. And I think that when you see photos of people doing outdoor activities, maybe it's the exact opposite. It shows them less dark and maybe a little bit more white. So, but I'm not really sure if that really changes, especially in the states where there's a lot of sunshine, because people do like going to the beach. I mean, when I grew up, I went to the beach quite often, and I stayed at my grandparents' house in Newport Beach during the summertime, and for 2 months I was going to the beach every day. I was quite dark afterwards, and I always thought, whoa, I like the color of my skin like this. But it's the exact opposite when you come here. If you go to the beach, people are all covered up. They're carrying their umbrellas around with them to protect themselves from the sun.
So that reminds me of another case. It's a famous figure in Japan's TV programs, and that person is actually from Africa. And actually, when the TV program interviewed him, that person said he actually needs to go to tanning studio once a while, because he has lived in Japan for a long period of time, so he finds his skin is not as dark as he wanted, so he finds the need to go to the tanning studio for that.
Oh, really?
So that's an interesting thing.
Yeah.
But as we can see, it's like we probably get these messages that's implied or implying in the advertisements, so the viewers or the watcher would aspire or want to become the figures in the commercials. So, the commercials you mentioned, perhaps they want to indicate that, these people are pure or they are innocent, something like that. That's also possible.
Yeah, I end up kind of scratching my head and I'm thinking, what are they trying to promote here? Because even when you look at the clothes that they're wearing, they're all very light colored clothes. You don't see any bright red clothes, and red is part of your culture as a powerful color. But there might be like pastel colors like blue or yellow or something like that, and the background is generally white, and the furniture will be white, and so on. And it just, I don't know, it just comes across to me as very fake, and like it has been manipulated to create a certain image to the viewer, and in some type of positive way. Oh, okay, maybe I can be like this too, as we talked about.
So as we just discussed, these images can be edited, or altered, or manipulated for certain target group, right? For these target groups of viewers. And now we probably find some previous photographs or previous ads had problems. Their values, right, shown in these photos are no longer consistent with our current values.
Correct.
So that's the thing. I think the reading, there's a really famous case, right? Michael, can you recall the case in the reading?
Well, there's one when we talk about the Beatles.
Yes.
The Beatles are a very famous rock group, and they're still famous in their own right, although, you know, there's only, what, 2 people left. But in one of their photos, I believe it's Abbey Road, right?
Yeah.
They're walking across the street, and there are a lot of sort of theories about this photo too, because I think Paul McCartney was out of step with the other 3, and the people thought, oh, he's going to be buried because of the clothes he was wearing and so on and so forth. But he had a cigarette, and that cigarette has now been airbrushed out of the photo because cigarettes are generally considered to be very bad for your health and so on. And we no longer have advertising for cigarettes on TV, or I think in newsprint also. We don't see that so much anymore. Smoking has dropped, but people are still smoking, and you know, it's a question now of whether that secondhand smoke is interfering in my space and so on, and this is also a problem. But
yeah, so I think that's a case. We used to see advertisements with cowboys smoking, and people would consider smoking as an act of independence and being free,
And cool, yeah.
and yeah, something like that. But just consider, like the case of the Beatles. What if we get photos with, I don't know, like Bob Dylan or other famous, right, singers? They're smoking. It's possible that in the future we will see the photos of this person where they had like smoking that images in this, but they need to airbrush those part and just the singers in the photos.
well, I mean, you can take George Harrison as an example from the Beatles. He died of lung cancer, and he died very, very quickly after it was diagnosed. I don't know how heavy a smoker he was, but that should send a message to some people. But I think a lot of people think, oh, that's never going to happen to me, right? So, but when it does, quite often it's already too late then. So, but I think now when you see, if I see a photo of somebody smoking, I think, gosh, that's strange, because I'm so conditioned now to see people not smoking in photos that if I see it, it kind of alarms me, like, oh, what's going on here? But certain cultures sort of support that still. There's many cultures, especially in Eastern Europe, where people are heavy smokers and smoking is still accepted, and people can still smoke in restaurants and things like that, whereas here it's quite a bit different, you know.
So I guess that's the case. We can see lots of advertisements through internet, through social media, through TV programs. So I guess now we are in a situation that we get too many images in each day, and that could be the problem.
Yeah, we get circuit overload, that's for sure.
So I guess that's the end of our third discussion section of this unit. As usual, we have 2 questions to ask you. My first question would be, Michael mentioned the commercials he found problematic in Taiwan. And I also discussed about the difference between the standards of beauty between Westerners and Easterners. So can you answer what's the difference about the standard of beauty between Western and Eastern?
And I mentioned a group that is very famous musically in the rock and roll world, and they come from England. What is the name of that group?
Here are the 2 questions for this section. We'll see you next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.